Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup Challenge here at Watkins, Glen International Speedway. I'm Austin Knight. I am joined by Alessandro Dalladone with Dennis Branch in the production booth. Alessandro, how are you doing? And welcome to the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup Challenge.
Hi, Austin. Hello to everybody in the chat watching this beautiful broadcast. We are ready to go here at Watkins Glen International in the state of New York for this beautiful Porsche Cup Racing Series first outing here on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, round one here today, and it's going to be very, very fun. 15 seconds left in qualifying, and we're just getting, well, I believe all the drivers are just finishing up their laps right now and getting ready to grid up right now here for a very fun series. All Porsche Cups, all GT3 cars. It's going to be awesome. And then as we're finishing that, I believe the grid is coming up right now. Starting up on pole, it's Bird, it's a plane. No, it's Superman himself. Starting up on pole, followed by Elliott Skier. Mortiz Kranz is starting the second row, followed by Riley Dickinson, Eric Foss, Grant Dockey, Kurt Hunt, Clifton Lipple, Reginald, Matthew Thill, Sebastian Carrazzo, Reynald Bryant in 12th place. Behind them is David Moore, Edge, Swearingen, Mattini, Patrick Wilmot, Efren Castro, Bart Collins, David Madden, James Thursbury, Lynn Tran, Daniel Hardy, and Tyler Hoffman in 24th. Behind those two is Michael Manella and Dimitri Kellner, your grid here today for the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup Challenge around the Glen. And we got a full-on pace lap to just admire this beautiful, beautiful track. And some of these paint schemes and some of the interesting names we got going on here.
Yeah, totally. Very interesting field and interesting nicknames. Do you think our poleman, Superman, is gonna check out lap 1 using his superpowers?
Well, I think that might be against rules and regulations, because I know some leagues might have a rule against superheroes, but they let him in there. Then bottom in Ricky Bobby himself, Superman starting up onto the inside, up on pole. Some other interesting names in here. I see Edge, also known as the Rated R Superstar, if that's the Edge we're talking about, and Reginald. Just going on, not sure who that's referencing, or that's just a nickname they gave him. But I'm digging Superman's Ricky Bobby avatar.
Yeah. If you ain't first, you're last. That's an heck of a strategy. Don't you agree?
Well, it is a great strategy, and he is first right now, so he's living it true.
45-minute race today here at the Glen. A lot of cars ready to rumble for today's event. It's gonna be very, very interesting, especially tire wear with this car is gonna be key for the success, and making no mistakes because it's a long race.
It's a long race and a tight track. We're doing the full course with bus stops, so racing cleanly is going to be very, very, very important, especially on the first lap, because you can fit 2-3 car wide here, but going through that chicane, you cannot even go too wide without something nasty happening coming out of it before they're going around the turn and heading down the chute into the boot.
Yeah, the S's are a trouble spot, especially with cold tires. This car is very, very tricky. First braking points, the chicane, and coming down here on the descending left-hander is gonna be very, very tricky, and usually you find a lot of difficulties with the cold tires. So it's gonna be very interesting. People will have to stay calm and try to settle in the first few laps because this car doesn't have ABS and neither has traction control, so it's gonna be up to the drivers to manage the tires and fuel.
Yeah, it's a GT3 car. It's a GTE car disguised as a GT3 car with the power of a GT4.
Yeah, totally agree. It's a potpourri of actual GT cars. put together, but providing a very, very nice racing.
It is definitely going to be very nice racing indeed. Here, as they're just finishing coming out of the boot right now, is see Superman warming up his tires, giving it a good old wiggle. I also see Dickinson doing the same thing as well, as poor safety car is coming to the two final corners. The field is going to start closing in on each other, and this is when it's about to get tasty. They're still coming through the final no corners, but they're all slowing up right now as the Porsche safety car is approaching the pit lane. Ladies and gentlemen, the heartbeats are rising and so are the revs because we are about to go racing here at Watkins Glen International for the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup.
Green flag.
We are green. Good jump by the 69. Now approaching carefully turn 1.
Oh, the second place gets started and he slams into it. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars off in turn 1. Foss retakes lead. Superman just got absolutely bodied right there, and he's falling down all the way to 30. He's going to fall down even to 4th right now. And there's even more carnage in the S's.
Yeah, a lot of cars parked outside of turn 1. Now we look at the rundown towards the bus stop. 2 wide, 3 wide on the back.
Superman took a massive hit, but they're going 3 wide into the chicane. This is going to be crazy, and Superman's off again. Superman's off in the chicane. Superman is in the wall.
Going backwards, a very good qualifying effort, but terrible start. Terrible start. Probably you want to take it easy, don't miss anything in the first few corners, because this is the end of this race. There's no way getting back. Let's
get a
look at the
replay of that start. This is Elliott Skier in the 14. He's in that red car. There's a 62 right beside him. Got onto the brakes, and he just got collected right there. And nowhere these guys can go. Elliott, fortunately, avoided the wall, but he did get a pretty good smack right there. Back up front, Eric Foss. Retake is in the lead, followed by Hunt and Reginald, your top 3.
Cold tires, cold tires. The braking is very, very tricky. With cold tires, you need to put forward your braking bias a little bit, and these drivers got caught out. This is unfortunately splitting up the field. Meantime, we see a car going wide there, and now we go towards the second lap of this race.
1 lap down, we still got more carnage coming out of the final corner. See Patrick Wilmot looking around the outside. He's going to get dived up the inside by the 3. Actually, Patrick's going to be the one diving up there in the 3. And he's on the inside, coming up onto the SS, trying to swing it around there of the 15 of Randall Bryant.
Very important to get a lot of speed out of the S's and get the draft, even though it's not a particularly long straight with the bus stop, so the braking is very, very important. And to nail the chicane is also very, very difficult when side by side. We see here the battle for P9 between Patrick Wilmot and Randall Bryant.
Yeah, the run out of chicane is very important with these guys. As Bert Collins, Bart got caught out a lot right there. As we see Skier making his way through the field. Just see how much damage that Skier has on the front end of that car. Even with all that damage, he's still trying to get as much performance as he can, but it's definitely hurting him on the straights. Probably might have suspension damage as well. But here's Skier looking up the inside. This might be a bit tasty. And he's just locked in behind Madden. Almost gives him a little tap, riding up onto the curb and heel. And Skier looking even for some more corners, but no overtaking possibility, and around goes Madden.
A good save, though. A good save. It's not easy. That corner always catches out a lot of drivers. No matter which car you are driving, you have to be super careful, but it was a good save. He can keep on going. No damage. That's key.
Consistency is key, as well as being safe. don't make mistakes. You're going to be up there near the front a lot.
Yeah, the Porsche Cup is a very, very difficult car to drive. You need to be super consistent. Either you go 100% and you are totally 100% secure of your pace. Otherwise, you are going to make mistakes, and mistakes can, yes, lose 1 second, 2 seconds, but it could also cost you your entire race. So you need to get a balance between aggressivity and being safe, while also trying to not lose much time on your competitors. But in a 45-minute race where already we had a lot of carnage in the first few laps, it's gonna be very important to take your time and keep on going with your pace without even, you sometimes also need to give to get a nice result at the end, Austin, right?
Indeed, as one of my favorite driving schools that I went to, and one of my favorite channels I like to watch when I'm learning racecraft, safe is fast. That saying is 100% true. You got to be safe to go fast. And that's what some of these guys who've been making up some crazy numbers, Metney, Efren Castro, and Tyler Hoffman are all tied for the biggest movers so far. And oh, big spin
Another spin.
and in the wall, and that is
The 65 of
Castro.
Castro, yes. Always the same corner, very, very tricky. Let's have a look at it again.
Well, Castro's been having a lot of connection issues as well. We saw him blinking in and out, but that was just too much mustard on the exit and took a spin and a big hit into the wall, and he's staying down in there. Oh, that's a very sketchy rejoin.
Good responsiveness by the guys behind him, avoiding him with no issues. Meantime, we go back to P9, fight for P9 between Swearingen and Skier.
Well, as I was saying, Metney, Wilmont, and Tyler Hoffman are all the front runners for the biggest movers so far in this race, up to 13 spots up from where they started. So we saw Elliott Skier make a nice move up onto the inside of Swearingen.
Car seems to be pretty okay. He has some right side damage. The splitter is turned up, but oh, we have a spin in
Oh,
front of him.
that's
Carazo,
Carrazzo. Carrazzo's going across the track, hitting the apex and then the inside wall.
I
And I
think he has
think
suspension
he's got
damage.
suspension damage. You can see the wheel being pointed a little bit, and I think that's a slight crab we got going.
Yeah,
Back up to the
unlucky.
front of this pack. Clifton, Lipple, and Metney racing it out for fourth place.
Very
And
tight pass.
Metney, a big slide, and he's bumped it right into the side of
Are we going to
Doc
white?
Lipple, and we see Wilmot wanted to make it 3 wide, wanted to set it up the inside, but he was being safe about it and not going to force an issue.
Very good racing, very aggressive racing. We like it. Maybe the drivers who had not a lot of luck in the first few laps do not think the same, but so far, pretty entertaining race. Meantime, in the lead, Eric Foss is checking out 1 second faster than Kurt Hunt in the last lap. So he's gonna give it all and try to maintain the gap as much as he can in the first few laps and cruise in the second part, controlling. Patrick Wilmot sending it in the bus stop, a very good pass, and now it's gonna defend on the inside from Lippo, the 230. Still looking, but nowhere to go.
And Wilmot sitting ahead of Lipple, trying to catch down on Metney. Both these guys tied for 12 spots from where they started the race. Lipple still looking down the inside as they're heading into tow. As Metney, little bit wide entry there. He's got a good exit coming out there. You definitely do not want to get onto the grass in these cars. The grass is basically an ice rink.
Yeah, totally. The new tire model completely ate grass. You don't want even to barely touch it. It's ice is already a compliment, let's say. It's a
Oh,
very, very,
Skier!
very great pass. Still looking on the inside. Does he have damage? He's having a blast today in a good recovery drive. Starting from
Even with damage, he's able to get up there and still throw the car around. Skier putting on a great recover performance, even after qualifying second and getting put into the wall after that crazy start. As we just start lap 6 here and just about to get into the 10th minute of 45 minutes here at Watkins Glen for the ACI GT3.
I feel like not having any issue with the rear wing aerodynamically wise is okay. He's not much slower on the straight. You can see he can easily keep up with the guys in front and also gain.
Oh,
Oh,
Wilmot and Metney, and Wilmot had it locked up and go into the grass, and he's going to rejoin right in front of him. He's going to have to slow a start down penalty for right there, but look at Skier. Skier and Metney battling out for 4th place right now. Metney around the outside, Skier looking down to the inside. Now he's going to send it up the inside as they head into the top of the boot. And Metney defending that position wonderfully. Skier looking around the outside once more. Side by side they go. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers heading into the tunnel? Skier's going to send it around the outside, and oh, around goes Skier.
turned him. Unfortunate, unfortunate. Great battle, but he might have washed up a little bit. Meantime, we go on and watch the battle for P4 between Dipol and Metney, coming down to the trouble spot of the race so far. Side by side, still a great, respectful racing between the two.
They're still side by side. So they're heading into the final sector. Metney around the inside, but Lipple around the outside jumps into 4th.
In the meantime, we also lost the car of Randall Bryant in this lap. He had a little issue and is in the pits.
Well, we were watching the battle for 4th get very cool. Let's switch it over to the battle for 2nd. Between Hunt and Talkie. These two guys, they pretty much escaped the front chaos and pretty much checked out. As you could just see the battle right behind him with Lipple and Metney go crazy as Patrick Wilmot sending it a little bit too much going into the bus stop chicane. He had to cut that chicane after last time going side by side through there. Still attacking it as aggressively as ever.
Yeah, obviously they are giving it all. They want to get.
Wilmot a little bit too much.
Lose. Yeah, too much rear brake there. He had to avoid the car in front and couldn't do anything. But nevertheless, didn't seem to hit anything there, so it's good to go. But as I was saying previously, being safe is being fast with this car. A lot of mistakes costing a lot of time so far.
Definitely the Porsche GT3 Cup car here on iRacing, one of the more difficult cars to drive. It doesn't seem that difficult at first, but then once you realize no traction control, no ABS, that's going to start weeding out some of the drivers, and then you get that big giant wing and you think, I have all the downforce in the world. This wing is the size of my house or the size of Jimmy Broadbent's shed, and you realize it doesn't really give you that much downforce as you expect it would be, as Hunt and Talkie go very wide off of turn 1, and Talkie actually jumping over the grass.
NASCAR line for Talkie there, trying to get as much speed through the corner, and now down to the bus stop again. They are still 1 second slower than Eric Foss, so he's building a huge gap, almost 10 seconds now, but they have still the chance to fight it out without even bothering too much about the guys behind, because they had this massive gap thanks to the lap 1 shenanigans behind them. So they are free to battle it out. Hopefully they will keep it clean and watch out for themselves, making sure to get to the end with no issues. In the meantime, on a skier, we have seen having issues so far as commentator
Oh!
car.
Grant Dawkey goes around. So he's going to stay in third because he's got a 11-second gap to Lippold right behind him, who just showed up right there. Who's now 2 seconds after coming out of the tow. So Dawkey's going to have to get back onto his A game, and Foss might have to worry about Hunt because he's been pulling away from two drivers that have been battling, and Foss hasn't been battling anybody. That's how two cars battling each other are definitely going to slow each other down. And Foss hasn't battled anyone. He's going to start pulling away. We're just going to see if Hunt has the pace to close down on Foss now, um, since he's not battling with anyone now.
Yeah, the next few laps are gonna be key to see if Kurt Hunt is gonna close the gap on Foss and if he can try to think about getting the win in this opening round of the ACI series, Motorsport series.
Speaking of Eric Foss, the leader, great dodging abilities at the start. He was pretty much lined up to being at the start took out probably some of the top five, and he's already 4 spots up, and he was just starting up onto the inside 3 rows down. He was just primed position to just escape that first turn chaos.
Yeah, totally. It's unfortunate, rather unfortunate, but Foss obviously profited from that and checked out. In the meantime, we see Elliot Skier, we were talking about him before, he entered pit road, and I think he used his fast repair as our 69 car Superman. They are both still on the lead lap, but very far back, even though Skier has a very, very fast car. He's running the only car that has been lapping on the 148 and 97 last time by, so he might have still a chance to get in the top 10 with his pace.
Yeah, it all depends on who's going where, and Metney just had a big issue right there, and he's just disappeared from our timing tower. What's happened to Metney in the iFly car? This is heading into the heel. Oh, that's the ABS kicking in. That's the no ABS kicking in, and the car just shot off to the right. Did he try to turn into the braking zone?
I feel like that was pressing a bit too much the braking pedal to slow down the car because he was closing too much on the guy in front and didn't want to hit him, so he reacted trying to slow down even more and the car snapped loose entering the corner. In the meantime, we see Dickinson here on the inside of Castro getting the pass nicely, exiting now turn 1.
What a move.
Yeah, that's a good move.
As Castro is just dancing on the bumper now. He's going to have to draft as they're coming out of the S's. Heading into the bus stop chicane. Riley's going to stay down onto the inside of the track and use all that speed to his advantage and go for the inside move as here comes Castro. And he's just going to stay behind Riley as Riley's hopping up all over these curbs, just holding, not leaving any doors of opportunity open for Castro.
Yeah, Castro is going backwards in the last few laps, as he have maybe some issues that we don't see, at least aesthetically, on his car. He's a bit slower than he used to be at the start. In the meantime, we go back to P7 with Collins and Carazo fighting out, flashing his lights, showing he's there. He's gonna think about passing here. No, he's gonna take it safely. And now slotting. Ooh, a little kicker with the backhand there. Too much power exiting the corner, as we saw before with people spinning, is very, very tricky. And we have to remember also that the Porsche Cup is very known for using up his tires a lot, even though in the last update iRacing to lower the tire fall off, is gonna still affect a lot the driving of this car.
And Grant Talkie's caught up to Hunt. Oh, that's Lipple caught up to Hunt right there. Lipple is caught up to Talkie. I'm getting everyone's confused again.
Yeah, Toki going backwards after the little issues there. He couldn't get the pace up, and Lipple slowly but steadily gaining some times, and now thinking about a move for the lowest step of the podium. Oh, great save there by Collins, I guess, in the 22 car. Yes, indeed. Couldn't go very, very bad, but at least he only lost a few positions and still is on the track in the slipstream of the 27 and the car number 3 of Wilmot. A lot of packs, but still a lot of fights going on, Austin. David Madden here in P11, still fighting with Thursby, one of the movers of this race, starting from the back of the field. But he has also to watch out for Dickinson, who is charging through the field after some issues in the leading laps. Looking around the outside, and another great pass here. Still trying to clear the number 11. And Riley Dickinson moving up to P11. We go back now on Grant Tolkien in the 941, defending still from Lipple, a few laps looking, but still no chances, no passing zones found by the 230, taking his time. Meantime, Dickinson looking on the inside for P10, and he gets another car, the 16 of Thursby. Great recovery. For sure, he can still look for some other places. The race is still long. We are not even halfway, so Dickinson is on the move like a skier, which is catching the back end of the pack. He's only 2 seconds behind Castro, so he might be looking on getting some position in the next few laps. Carazo with his damaged Porsche is trying to stay in front of Wilmot, which is steadily, after the little mistake, going on in and trying to gain some time on the cars in front, but obviously this car is so tricky to control, and you don't want to overdrive it, so they rightfully take their time and see where you can pass without having a lot of issues, because as you saw in the last laps, meantime Wilmot is looking on the inside, will he make the pass here entering the bus stop? Carazo gives him plenty of space, and very slidey the 27 of Carazo, which is who now has to look and defend from the car number 22 of Collins, which also is on a great recovery drive from a bad qualifying effort, starting from P19, is already up in the top 10, trying to make other spots. He might have also saved some tires, but look behind him, who is on a charge? Dickinson in the IMSA sponsored car, More Speed team. driver is looking to make another position and possibly lead this pack in the next 3 or 4 laps and charge towards the next car after this 4-car bunch, which is Hoffman 4 seconds ahead, but first he has to go through. Colin seems like to be a bit aside and let him go through. So it is showing the mindset of the 22 car.
Yeah,
Nice.
Collins taking a more conservative approach to this battle ahead of him with Dickinson and Cazzaro. Cazzaro with that damage lean as well is going to hurt him down this front straight as Dickinson swinging around the outside is going to pick up the draft of Wilmot. And we're having a drag race here. It ain't going to last that long as Dickinson swings into 8th place.
Yeah, the battle is going on and Dickinson is charging incredibly through the field. At this rate, he could easily try to challenge Hoffman in by the end of this motor event.
And we see Wilmot swinging way wide, heading into the boot, and that's brought Riley right up with him as the 3 and the 53 going to duke it out right now into the toe. Riley showing his nose down into the inside, dancing all over the gearbox of Wilmot now.
Tires starting to fall off slowly. Not only cars sliding, entering the corner under braking, but also exiting the corner. So who did save some tires in the first part of the race now will another
Big wiggle from Cazzaro.
big wiggle. Yeah, Carasso, sorry, having already some issues putting the power down in the next few laps. They might be struggling with damage, and this could affect a bit also the balance of the car.
Yeah, look at Collins now. Collins with the flash of lights. He's going to try to look down the inside or not. Playing some mind games with Sebastian right there.
Yeah, Collins
goes very wide.
Very, very mindful, very safe, trying to not put his car at risk, trying to get to the end without a single scratch. And you have to be a little bit aggressive to pass people, but he's very, very safe so far. Here,
Elliott Skiers sending it on Thursby for 11th. What a move by Elliott.
Yeah, Elliott on a recovery drive after having some issue at the start, some damage, went down the pit, used his fast repair, and back onto the track, charging through the field and trying to gain as much time as possible, position as possible. Like Superman. 17th now, 1 minute 35
oh,
behind
into the wall. Collins is into the wall at toe. The exit of toe. Bart Collins, a little bit too much gas up onto the exit. Might have saw an opportunity to close in, but very loose going into there, riding up onto the concrete patch. It's on that crease, and so easy to lose it right there.
Yeah, it's super easy to lose the car there. You have to be very, very careful. But it seemed like not to be hit the wall very hard there, or even
a small tap.
Yeah, so he should be ready to go, but still is a lot of valuable time lost there. He didn't want to do that. He's been very good so far in this race. He always tried to keep it clean, don't put his car at risk, but it's super easy, very easy to make mistakes with this car. Especially in that hairpin with the concrete, the car gets very, very unsettled, and it's very straightforward to lose the car exiting there with the
that concrete
tires.
patch is it's meant there to strengthen up the road because it's used, but if you just go right outside that concrete patch and put just a little bit too much power down, as Lipple setting it up on Tataki. As that was a very surprising set, as I believe Lipple locked up the brakes, and Lipple gonna try to swear it, try to send it in there. And oh, once again,
Oh,
Talkie's in the wall. He got loose. He saw the back end dancing around, and Grant Talkie got
rather
tapped in the back.
unfortunate.
Didn't have the speed coming out of there, and unfortunately got right in front of Whipple and went flying into the wall.
That was not what we wanted to see there. Someone who's gonna be totally happy about this is Mr. Dickinson. Riley Dickinson, the 53, is back in P5.
And Elliott Skier is just carving his way back up the field. He's sitting in 8th now, with 2 cars ahead of him getting affected, as we see Carrazzo still struggling with his back end. No grip back there.
Yeah, Skier still the fastest car on the track so far, the only car under the 1 minute 49, so 48.99 last time by. So he is totally going through the field like a madman, trying to make as many spots available to him. I think he can easily try to challenge Dickinson by the end of this event.
Well, he's got a lot of cars ahead of him. Let's take a look at the leader of Eric Foss, who 21 seconds in the lead. Pretty much perfection race here today. Lapped cars letting him by. That is Metin. And just Eric, so smooth on the car, so smooth on the application. It's just miles ahead. The Texas-based driver showing it how it's done.
Yeah, he has been very fast all race long. He obviously got some advantage at the start, but in the meantime, she's still a skier going through the number 3 of Wilmot, and now already looking to pass Hoffman. He's on a roll.
Hoffman not putting up much of a fight. Here comes Elliott Skier. Beautifully, a little bit sketchy in mid-corner. We saw Hoffman take evasive action as he goes into the grass, and looks like Wilmot going to try to swing it around the outside. Unfortunately, cannot capitalize off of that now, as Elliott up into 6th.
Yeah. Now with Dickinson, it's gonna be interesting because Dickinson has a lot of pace, but Skier seems like to be a few tenths faster. So if he can get into the draft of Dickinson, he might be able to catch him by the end of this race. And at the same time, Dickinson is closing at a very big rate to swearing in the number 17 in 4th place.
Yeah, Hoffman looking at his mirror. Watch where Wilmot's going to go. Wilmot, one of the more conservative drivers, but if he sees an opportunity, he's sending it. He senses the opportunity to go down to the inside. He's looking down to the outside now. Side by side, they go into the braking zone. Patrick going to brake a little bit early and let Hoffman have that spot, but watch out on the exit. We've seen Patrick make a few moves heading into the boot.
This is the place where usually people start to send it in the last few laps. The first part is gonna be always tricky. The bus stop is always threading the needle. Is very tough. You have to be very, very aggressive. You have a very good exit speed from the S's and turn 1. But here you can also surprise your opponent. The other driver might not expect a send over here in this part of the track, especially if you fake it really well at the last moment.
Yeah, Patrick just sitting on that gearbox, studying what Hoffman likes to do here. Hoffman still struggling with some of that damage right there. So you go through one of the most tricky corners on the circuit. Who's going to be the best going in there?
So we are almost 10 minutes away from the end of this event. The field is very, very spread out, but still we have some very nice battles, and I'm sure that they will keep us entertained till the end, sitting on our chairs. waiting for a nice fight here. Dickinson, we missed it. He's gone through swearing in and up to P4.
Let's run on board with Patrick Wilmot behind Hoffman. Hoffman leaving the door open. Patrick Wilmot, he's got the opportunity. He is not going to take it. And Hoffman is going to stay ahead in that braking zone. Very close fight between these two drivers. A little bit of brake application for Hoffman. It's all about keeping the car in the grips. And look at Patrick Wilmot. He's got a great run heading into the boot. Patrick Wilmot setting it up onto the inside. And Hoffman just holding around the outside, but unable to keep that spot there as Patrick Wilmot sends it up into P7.
Textbook overtake by Wilmot, but we also need to appreciate the drive of Hoffman, giving plenty of space to his competitor, making sure that the racing was clean and completely fair. So very, very nice driving by both of the drivers.
Very nice driving by both of them. They kept it clean. They kept it respectable. No door banging between them. Some very nice driving standards between these two guys. And I can't wait to see what they do throughout these next 6 weeks as we are closing in on 10 minutes remaining here at Watkins Glen for the inaugural ACI GT3 Cup. Here on Apex Racing TV.
Hoffman now is also having to watch out for Carato, who is coming back after struggling in mid-race. Probably he collected all his thoughts and now focusing back on gaining a few positions, even though his car is a little bit more damaged than the 9 of Hoffman and the 3 of Wilmot. Wilmot, we saw before on the onboard camera, has a little bit of front-end damage, but the car, apart from that, is totally fine.
Hoffman, Carrazzo, and Castro. Wilmot, Hoffman, and Carrazzo, your 3 right now battling it out. Hoffman just dancing in the middle there. Carrazzo just caught up to the rear end as Wilmot goes a bit wide, coming out of tow. And here comes Hoffman.
Let's see if he's gonna send it over here, but I feel like yeah, he's gonna just slot in and wait for the next available pass chance. Obviously, we are starting to know these drivers. I don't feel like Hoffman is gonna try a silly move into these corners, which have an high rate of collision or mistakes. Meantime, he goes a little bit wide and he has to defend now from Karas.
Oh, and he's made a mistake going to the final corner, lock up of the brakes, and runs into the wall. Once again, the Porsche GT3 car biting back. If you just get a little bit too comfortable, the brakes will lock up, and they're so hard to get into that sweet spot.
Yeah, the sweet spot is pretty much non-existent on this race. Car is very, very tough, and that's even complicated for pro drivers. You can see if you watch the Super Cup, the Racing East Porsche Super Cup is very, very difficult also for people who train hours and hours and hours on the car and still sometimes struggle with that on their broadcast. So this is to understand that this car is very, very tricky, and even though you have a 26-second lead like Eric Forbes in the 28 is having right now, he cannot just relax, sit down and enjoy his drive, because he might be having issues exiting a corner where he never had some oversteer or a late braking point. You never know. Meantime, he goes by the car of Tram.
Yeah, Tram being lapped by Eric Foss right there. You can see how much he's working the wheel to keep it pointed straight.
This is a car where obviously the driver skills are, in my opinion, still more important than a proper setup. Yes, obviously a setup is gonna do almost half of the job, but if you have a very good setup in a GT car, is gonna count much more than a driver skill. And here you can see how he is having to work the wheel. It's not that easy. Even with a perfect setup car, is always gonna be a challenge to get to the end of a 45-minute race with a tire wear and also battles or lapping cars, whatever it will be. It's always very very fun to drive too if you start getting a hang of this car.
Yeah, once you find the groove in this car, it is a very enjoyable car to drive. I remember when I finally locked down the car, I felt very nice. I was very confident, and then they released a new tire model, and all that confidence went out the window.
Always a life-changing moment when a new tire model comes out, and this car has been always very tough to drive, either with old or new setups or tire models or some other dynamic changes. It has always been, in my opinion, one of the most difficult cars within iRacing, and today we also see why.
Yeah, track not proving very beneficial to a few of these cars. Very Watkins Glen has that some weird corners. Like you got medium speed corners. This track is mostly medium speed corners, but some of the corners are in between low speed and medium speed, and that's the corner coming out of the boot. We've been seeing a lot of trouble. Like some of these guys taking the low speed approach, some of them trying to take the high speed approach, and they're getting bit by the hand. But once you lock down that corner, it pays off so well. And somebody who's been locking down that corner lap after lap is Elliott Skier, up into 5th place after falling down, getting back up there, falling down again. Elliott Skier is one of is a driver that will just never quit. Sitting in top 5 right now, trying to close in and make the move on Dickinson as they are clearing and closing in on the heel, closing on the boot, and Elliott dancing on the gearbox with 4 minutes to go here at the Glen.
Here has had a fabulous lap, 48.54, going purple lap after lap, and now looking to pass Dickinson, looking on the inside, always side by side on his quarter panel, and now he's gonna try to send it.
Skier looking down to the inside, a little bit too much on the brakes, and oh, a little bit of a tap
Bargy,
between the
bargy.
two drivers. As Dickinson sitting down to the inside. Dickinson sending it up there. Skier trying to go for the switchback, but well defended by Dickinson. To see the flash of the lights, disappointed. Skier not happy with that move of Dickinson defending onto the inside immediately. It's totally legal move right there, as they're gonna have to go into the very last corner. 2 laps to go here at the Glen. Dickinson defending onto the inside. Skier being forced around the outside. Side by side they go. Great battling between these two drivers. Switchback by Skier now. Skier has the inside. Side by side they head into the S's.
Hopefully here don't push his wide because this corner is very very tricky. Now he's having the inside, so with the amount of speed, oh, he's trying to side draft him. Let's see now how ends up. Great passing on the inside. Dickinson slots back after the 14, and now it's his turn to try to get by the 14 here in the booth.
Great battling, defending by both these two drivers, and the battle is not over yet. Now Skier is in the defense seat as Riley Dickinson is falling back, just a little bit tricky. Enters heading into the boot as they're approaching the lap cars of, well, they're approaching the lap car of Manila, as that's Lipple up there in 3rd.
Yeah,
As
Lipol has to be careful because race is not over. He has a Menella in between him and Skier, but Skier we know has a lot of pace. So if he nails this lap, he might still try to catch him. If he makes a little mistake, it's gonna be super tough. But you never know. And Skier has demonstrated today that he never gives up.
yeah, Skier, great move getting past that lap car as fast as he can. Dickinson being held up just a bit onto the apex. You can see on the exit of the corner, Manila just dove down to the inside as these guys are crossing the line. And Skier sees Lipple 2 seconds up the road. Can Skier close down 2 seconds in an entire lap?
Well, Lipol is lapping the 50, 58. So 1 second for sure. If he gets a little mistake by Lipol, he might try to send it in the last corners, but I think it's rather difficult. But you never know. Racing is unpredictable. This car is very unpredictable. But I think Lipol just needs to focus and make sure he slows down a little bit, a few tenths here and there, takes a little bit of a gap from his 100% speed, and make sure he gets home with a nice podium.
Speaking of the podium, the person standing on top of the podium, Eric Foss, is coming around the final corners right now. And taking the win of the first round is Eric Foss in a dominating fashion today. Dodged the chaos at the start, was absolutely clean throughout the race. Foss going to take the first win here for the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup Challenge.
Yeah, textbook drive, perfect, not a single mistake, very consistent, so it totally deserved. In the meantime, we watch Carazo here, who is trying still to get a position from Wilmot. He might try to send it over here in this corner, otherwise I think it's gonna be super difficult to go by.
Wilmot playing it safe, driving like he normally does it. Carrazzo just a little bit too far back, unable to send it in there. He's hoping for a mistake now. That's the best he can do, but not a mistake for him as he goes hard into the wall.
He might
And
lose
you
a
see him
spot here.
burning up the tires as here comes Castro and Thursbury. They're seeing the red mist. They're going to be extra aggressive heading to this final corner. Who's going to win this drag race between these two drivers? Carrazzo and Castro have been battling out all day. They're going to finish side by side, and Castro's going to get him by one thousandth of a second.
That was a heck of a... one of the closest margin I ever witnessed so far in a racing. Very...
That's the closest you can get before it's a tie.
yeah, absolutely. By the way, Skier closed down to 9/10 in the last lap. He gained 1.5 seconds. So he almost got Lipple in the end, but obviously the margin was too big to try anything in the last lap. One more lap and he would have been on his tail.
I still can't get over the 1/1000th of a second we just witnessed.
Yeah, very. Ooh, some bump drafting here going on in the cooling lap.
Yeah, everyone's
Very
finishing up now. Post race
time to get
festivities
loose.
usually happen with these guys, and I know some leagues, some guys have a demo derby that goes on. Some of them like to do a little parade lap. Some of them just do donuts all over the place, and then some just do whatever they want to do. But as Eric Foss, he just pretty much checked out, and he's already in the pit lane. I think he's getting a little bit of that bubbly.
Yeah, totally. He can be totally happy about this. What if lap 1, turn 1, nothing happened, the race would have gone clear, and
This
would
race
have
would
we
have been
see...
this race would have been turned on its head if lap 1, turn 1 didn't even happen. Like we would have seen a crazy fight for the lead, but thankfully we have 5 more rounds here in the ACI GT3 Cup Challenge. left. Next week, we're going to be at Road America, another classic American track. As here are your results. Alessandro, take us through them.
Yes, today's race winner for Foss Racing is in the 28 is Eric Foss, winning by almost 38 seconds on Kurt Hunt, then followed by Clifton Lipple, which is closing our podium. Ed Skier and Riley Dickinson both on an extremely good recovery drive after early accidents close up the top 5. Swearingen, Wilmot, Castro, Carazo and Thursby are in the top 10, followed by Collins, Hoffmans, David Madden and Superman. David Moore, Lynn Tran, Reginald Edge, Brian and Metnick are closing the top 20, and then Michael Menella, Dimitri Kellner, and Daniel Hardy close the field, which has completed all the laps, while our retirees did not finish today are in the 941 Grant Tolkien, Matthew Ead in the 02, and Moritz Krantz in the 62.
Yeah, we're waiting for a few drivers to hop into the Discord for post race interview, but no one seems to be hopping in to take the break. Probably a little bit too hot to go onto the radio and join us in there. But a very crazy race, a very crazy start we witnessed here today. And I'm honestly very excited for the rest of this season here for the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup Challenge. Uh, Alessandro, what are your thoughts on the upcoming season?
It's gonna be for sure very interesting. We are going to very important tracks, big tracks, one very different from the other. We're going to Road America next week, which is a very difficult track, proving to be like Watkins Glen. You have a good mixture of fast corners, slow corners, hairpins, good, huge braking points coming down the backstretch. So it's gonna be very interesting, and also it's gonna play out more or less like today, where there will be some drivers going very aggressive, some other drivers taking the easy way, the safe way, being more responsible maybe, and trying to get to the end without having issues with this car. Obviously, paid out for a lot of our drivers today.
Well, definitely. And I can't wait for next week. Thank you, everyone, for hopping in with us here on Apex Racing TV for the ACI Motorsports GT3 Cup Challenge. I've been joined by Alessandro Dalladone with Dennis Branch controlling all these wonderful cameras and graphics up on your screens. And I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.